Hello. It is Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. I am Curtis Morrison, and this is Let's Talk Immigration. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about today, and then I can take question and answers. If you have a question or answer, drop it in the chat, right? Um, First thing I want to talk about is the diversity visa program. I've got 2 points to hit on about that. Um, the first, yesterday, Tuesday, I had an essay published in The Hill, which is a online news for Congress out of Washington, D.C. And it was an opinion piece, and it said, "Don't make immigrants pay to enter the lottery." For those that don't know, the Judiciary Committee um, of the U.S. Congress has proposed changes to the diversity visa lottery program. They've proposed a lot of changes. One of the changes that's getting the most attention is they want to charge people a fee to seek asylum. But one thing that's not getting attention is they want to charge a fee to enter the lottery. And I do not think that is right. They want to charge a $250 fee. Now, just weird coincidence. One of the members of Congress on that Judiciary Committee that's proposing that is the very member of Congress that I'm actually running against. If you didn't know, I'm running for Congress. Anyway, crazy, crazy world. So I just wanted you to know that if you believe in the diversity visa program, it's a good thing, that it enriches our country, both culturally and economically, and in other ways as well. I think when our country represents the diversity around the world, we understand the world better, right? But anyway, I'm on your side, and I will continue to advocate for you. And I just wanted to let you know that. Okay. Next thing, also about the diversity visa lottery. I've talked to influencer Britt Simon about a new lawsuit for challenging, on behalf of DV 2025 and 2026, entrants from Great Britain who were not selected because no one from Great Britain was selected. This does not make sense. The DV lottery, they made a mistake, basically. And it took me a while to decide to move forward with this because I think a lot of people that participate in the diversity visa lottery, it could change their lives in more meaningful ways from other parts of the world, right? But they have to follow the rules, and they have to do it fair, because otherwise, if they get away with not doing this, then next time they'll decide to eliminate Nepal or something. They cannot have the discretion to just eliminate a country when they want. And Great Britain should have been included, but no selectees appear to have been selected from Great Britain. In fact, these statistics show that no diversity visa immigrant visas this fiscal year have been issued to applicants chargeable to Great Britain. So that's kind of evidence that they messed up, and they know they messed up. So I'm going to let Britt Simon take the lead on collecting plaintiffs, but feel free to reach out to me too if this impacts you, and I'll make a video with Britt probably in about a week or so, and from there we'll probably file the lawsuit in about 2 weeks. Okay. Our goal is to just make the State Department follow their own rules, because if we start letting them get away with not following their own rules, they'll keep doing it, and it'll get worse and worse and worse. Okay. So I talked about the DV thing. I need to talk about Iranian visa stuff, but before I do, I see I have some questions here. This one guy showed up early with questions. Lepton, how often does the state respond with the motion to dismiss? Does it matter if this is a renewal and I have EU citizenship along with the fancy one? Okay, dual citizenship doesn't matter. Whether or not, how often the state responds with a motion to dismiss depends a lot on your nationality. For Russians, it's probably 30%. For Iranians, it's probably 70%, something like that. Also, it depends upon the length of delay, and it depends upon the judge assignment and the court that we file in. So, and the attorney that files your case, because some attorneys, their mandamus lawsuits are like 3 pages, and ours are like 20 to 50. Okay, so how bad is the Karamovas case? Okay, what you're talking about there is a DC order opinion, actually, from the Circuit Court of Appeals that was not published. Okay, it was not published because the 3-judge panel that issued it realized that it shouldn't be binding law. The government likes to argue in our mandamus litigation across the country that Karamova is this wonderful case that should guide judges, and several judges have rejected that. One judge, Judge Tigar in Northern District of California, has actually scolded the government for representing that the case was binding when it was not binding. So I think they've stopped doing that. So anyway, I'm not scared of the Karamova case. There's some judges that have adopted it, but most have not. Okay. Also, I'd like to add updates to the case, which you marked as where the motion to dismiss was denied. Department of State fought back and the judge fully agreed with them. They used the same logic. Yeah, reach out to me directly before I start pulling up individual cases, because I don't know cases by their case numbers, by their court case numbers. Okay. So we have a question here from Telegram. Dear Mr. Morrison, I just realized I did not retweet this, so I'm supposed to do that, because if I don't, people won't know that we're having the live. Okay, I did that. Dear Mr. Morrison, we are writing to express our deep concern regarding the current progression of the visa bulletin for the DV 2025 program, specifically for the Europe region. Okay. And then the second part of this question is, as of May 2025, the cutoff for Europe has reached only 19,000, while Africa has already advanced to over 40,000. That is accurate. I agree. The substantial discrepancy between regions raises serious questions about fairness and transparency in the visa allocation process. I'm not sure about that. There's empty, I think they're called case holes is what some people call them. Not every number has a visa. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll have entire, like thousands of numbers that don't have visas. So I think the case number rank is not, it doesn't mean what you think it means. I'll say it like that. Okay. In previous years, the progression for Europe was more promising at this point in the fiscal year. Yes, true. However, this year, we are witnessing an unusual slowdown. Well, I don't know if that's accurate or not. And the reason is the case numbers, like I said, those numbers do not mean what you think you mean. They mean, let's say your number is EU 30,000. That does not mean that there are 29,999 EU selectees below you. That's just not what that means. And I think that this panic over the case number is presuming that. What's really going on here is you're upset that your case number is not current, and I understand that. But I don't think that that indicates that there's a problem with the allocation process. Okay, that seems disproportional and unexplained. Yes, it does. If you make an assumption that there's a case for every number underneath you, but I don't think that's the situation. it creates the impression of intentional stalling or mismanagement. I understand you get that impression, but that's not true. Okay, like here's why is it that you're comparing like Europe and Africa and not North America, for example? Okay. I realize that North America has very few selectees, but it kind of makes my point. Like they're only at 20. Well, they have a big argument. Oh, this isn't fair, you know, or Oceania, they're only at 1550. Oh, this isn't fair. So I don't think it means what you think it means. I think that the two things, the thing I said before, not every case number is associated with a selectee, but then another thing is the number of selectees in a region is not the same for every region. It's different from region to region, okay? But great questions. Okay. Oh, your question continues. Who are now at risk of missing their chance for interviews. We, as DV 2025 selectees from Europe, respectfully ask you to investigate this issue and consider taking further action through inquiries, well, public advocacy or litigation. I do litigation when I am hired to do litigation. When you want to invest your money to hire a lawyer, I'm not going to do pro bono free litigation for Europeans that feel slighted by the diversity visa lottery, especially when we don't have any proof of unlawful conduct. You know, this is a little different than the issue I was talking about before. There's zero members, zero people chargeable to Great Britain who have been issued visas. There's something wrong there. That's not true with Europe generally, and also the way the visa bulletin progresses, okay? Also, seeing past years where the visa bulletin just went current for everybody, that's not necessarily as great as you think it is because it gives false hope. I saw a visa bulletin in 2020 or 2021, I think, go current earlier in the fiscal year, and it caused everybody to have this hope and confidence that they would be issued a visa, and that just didn't happen, could not have happened anyway. They overselect almost by double, right? So if I had to make one change to the DV program, by the way, I got to go in and like, Curtis, how would you change it? I would just end overselection. I would say like, nope, you just either someone's selected or they're not. And if they're selected, they have a right to get a visa all the way to September 30th. Overselection to me is cruel and creates chaos. Anyway, and that's what you're experiencing. And that's the true, like, I think that's part of the grounds of your grievance, and you're right about that. Okay, DV winners around the world. Okay. Oh, and you're not in Europe. You're in Eastern Europe, Kyrgyzstan. Okay. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't see a cause of action there, just based upon the visa bulletin saying 17.5 for Europe and 42.5 for Africa, any more than I see a cause of action for it saying 20 on North America and 2,300 on South America. Okay. What else do I have to talk about? I wanted to talk about Iranian visa issuance. Okay. A lot of my clients, as you all know, Ready Go Law's clients are Iranian visa applicants across all the visa categories. Of course, we have other clients, you know, from all 200 different nationalities. But since a lot are from Iran, I do pay special attention to visa statistics. It's not sharing my screen, though. Hold on a second. There we go. And the March 2025 visa statistics have come out. If you didn't know that, that has happened since our last show. And they show a dismal, kind of depressing trend on Iranian visa issuances. I'll give you an example. In March, there was one F1 student. No, wait. I'm not reading that right. There were 19 F1 students, 8 F2. That's like spouses of a student issued. 27? Really? I mean, our law firm personally represents hundreds. So the idea that there were only 27 issued in an entire month, that's kind of crazy. They did issue a lot of B1, B2 visitor visas, 696, but only 6 H1Bs. I don't think they issued any O1s. No. 24 fiancés. That's crazy. We probably represent more than 24 fiancés. We're just one little bitty law firm. And so there are a huge backlog of Iranian visa applicants who have attended interviews and are stuck awaiting the outcome of their security advisory opinion. And that's something that, we will continue to litigate about. We'll continue to file lawsuits until we get to the bottom of it. So let's go over to the right side of this here and look at immigrant visas. For diversity visa, there were 37 issued in March. Not great, could be worse. F2A, there was only 1 issued. That sounds awful unless you know the context and the reason why that is. The reason why that is it takes so long for an F2A to get an interview at Ankara, Abu Dhabi, or Yerevan, but that because by the time that they do, the petitioner is naturalized. Okay. And the petition changes to an IR1 when the petitioner naturalizes. What probably happened with that F2A, well, no. I was going to say it was someone who a spouse of a green card holder who had kids, and so they decided not to naturalize. But that's not true, because if they had kids, it would show up there. It'd be like mom and a baby's 2, right? Not 1. There was only 1 visa issued. Okay, 42 F4s. It's siblings of U.S. citizens. 4 F2Bs. That's unmarried adult children of green card holders. That should be more than 4. Something's going on. They're throttling the issuance of visas to Iranian visa applicants through the use of administrative processing. That's what's going on. And litigation is the only tool we really have to fight back against that. So, sorry, I didn't have better news there. One thing I want to share, I've shared this before, but it's new, so nobody's adopted it yet. Or maybe you missed the show, you missed the update. The State Department actually did something we wanted them to do. They made a modification, updated their website. There's an IV scheduling tool, status tool. So really important for Iranians, but also for Russians, anybody with mobility issues, difficult to get to embassy. The IV scheduling tool will let you choose which embassy. Well, it lets you check out which embassy is going fastest so that you don't get in the wrong line. Okay. I'll give you an example. Immediate relative waiting for Yerevan. They are interviewing people from August of 2023. DQ, August of 2023. That means documentarily qualified. But if you go to Ankara, December of 2023, well, that's better. That means Ankara is faster by like 4 months. So you can play around this. And I have come across a couple of visa applicants who should have, based on their DQ date, already been interviewed according to what this website says. Okay. I got 2 things to say about that. One, that's going to be great for our lawsuits, right? Like if someone is challenging unreasonable delay in getting an interview and the website says they should have got an interview, well, courts defer a lot of credibility to government websites, and they're going to say, government, what is going on? Where's the interview? And they, so we'll have a good case. But the second thing is a little distressing. This was pointed out to me on Telegram. Thank you for the person that pointed it out. It's possible, since this is a new tool that's just been rolled out, that there is a bug. By the way, there's no way for me to communicate with the State Department and report when we know that they're doing things wrong, because they don't have a damn phone number that I could call. I don't have an email address for someone that works at the State Department that would solve problems, so I don't have to sue them. So basically, I sue them whenever I find something that's wrong. I wish somebody at the State Department would reach out to me and just give me their email address, and we wouldn't have to sue them so much. But here's the problem the person has pointed out. What if this Ankara interview that was December 2023 was actually someone whose visa application was expedited, and they had not taken that into account when their little data automatically popped up December 2023. I don't know. I'd like to talk to somebody at the State Department with that. If you want to join in on the chat, I could bring you up on the screen and we could talk it out. Okay. One more thing about this website, though, it actually talks about expediting a visa application, because sometimes when you're waiting for an interview, you do have a life or death medical emergency. And in that situation, there is a narrow path to expediting an interview. Of course, it doesn't mean that they're going to expedite it all the way to visa issuance, because if it goes in administrative processing, it is extremely rare that we are able to get the State Department to expedite using a process like a request, the adjudication of a visa that's an AP. That takes litigation, right? And we only want to do that when the delay is unreasonable. Okay, so I have relayed a lot of information there. If you had questions about what I have relayed, reach out to me, or anybody on my team. We would be happy to help. This is the website for the IV scheduling status tool. But instead of writing that out, it's easier to just Google IV scheduling status tool, and it comes up. Okay. Okay. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about today. And I see that we don't have any questions. So I'm just going to let y'all go, and I'm going to get some more work done. If you do have any questions, reach out. And in the meantime, take care of yourself. Okay? Take care of each other. Thanks.